Yeah, so the solar power wireless charging jacket, just think about it like this. We're offering convenience. So
Right.
when it comes to like not having your phone charged, imagine you're out and about, you may not have your charger on you or maybe defected or misplaced. You may be looking for an outlet. Now, being from New York and now currently living in Philly, like there may be no outlet in sight in public, or there's already somebody that have access to it. So that's the issue right there. And then you may have a portable charger, but it just can't sustain a charge. Put your phone in your jacket pocket and charge it on the go. So regarding to like convenience in the phone, that's what we're solving right there. When it comes to sustainability, we're also making sure that you're not using outlets 24/7 because that can also we can also like take away the sense of using like energy like in buildings and all that, which can honestly deduct your energy usage at your house and also deduct your funds at the same time. And then with us also having fashion attached to it, we want to make sure y'all look good. We want to make sure y'all look stylish.
You're listening to the Black to Business Podcast, an educational podcast providing Black entrepreneurs with the tools and resources to start and grow their businesses. We chat with vetted Black entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and business owners as they provide tips and resources to help take your business to the next level. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall. Welcome to the Black to Business Podcast. I am your host, Monique T. Marshall. If you've ever felt like you had to choose between being innovative and being authentic, or between staying stylish and staying sustainable, other folks definitely get it. As a Black entrepreneur, you are constantly told to pick a lane, to keep things simple, or to stick to what's been done before. But what if your greatest strength lies in your ability to blend, to bring culture, creativity, and innovation into one powerful vision? It is not easy building a business that does all three, but it is possible. And it starts with understanding the value behind the blend. In today's episode, we're diving into the underlying value in blending style, sustainability, and technology. I'm joined by Daryl DJ Riley Jr., an award-winning engineer, innovator, and co-founder of Tendaji, a fashion tech company that's turning heads with solar-powered wireless charging apparel. DJ brings a unique perspective to this conversation, not only because of his technical background and business journey, but because he understands the realities of building something impactful from the ground up while staying rooted in culture and purpose. Throughout this conversation, we're breaking down how you can build with intention, stay mission aligned, and still create something that's future forward. Whether you are in fashion, tech, or running a service-based business, this episode will give you real insights to help you think bigger, act bolder, and move with strategy. So let's get into it. Daryl, welcome to the Black to Business Podcast. Good to have you on the show. And I must say, I'm excited, one, because you're my second video podcast guest. So welcome.
Oh wow, listen, I'm honored to be the second one, you know what I'm saying? So what's going on, Monique? It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, I'm excited for you to talk about all the things that you're doing in tech, in fashion. But if you could just start from the beginning and share a little bit with my audience about your journey. What is it that you do in your business and how did you get here?
Yeah, so what's going on, everybody? My name is Daryl Riley Jr., but you guys can call me DJ if you like. I'm a class of 2020 alumnus of the Real HU, Hampton University. I might have to add that in there.
No, you can't because I went to Howard, so we're going to cut that part.
There we go.
All love,
So,
though.
yeah, all love. Listen, I
All
got
love.
nothing but love for HBCUs, man. So, yeah, I graduated Hampton University with my
Yes.
bachelor's in electrical engineering. The business started as our senior design project. So, the business name is called Tendaji,
Mm-hmm.
and our senior design project is a jacket that can wirelessly charge your phone via solar energy. So, put your phone in your jacket pocket and charge it on the go. So this all came up to mind when me and my co-founders back then, my senior design partners, Stan and Ridley and Jordan Walls, came together. We were just thinking like, okay, listen, this is our 5th, 6th, and 7th year in undergrad. Listen, we gotta make a play because we're ready to graduate. So I come from expertise of solar energy, where I worked with NextEra Energy down in Florida, and then Duke University, where I had an internship with the National Science Foundation in solar energy. Come on, come on, come on.
Clap
My
it up.
You already know my now a CDO, my chief design officer, Stan Ridley. He's the fashion guru of the group. He has his own fashion line called Sumi's. He's also been featured in New York Fashion Week, so he's definitely a heavy hitter in his own part. And then our CTO, our chief tech officer, Jordan Walls. He's always on the shy side, but once you get to know him, he's a really cool dude, a stereotypical engineer, always found interest in wireless charging and things. So we literally came together, literally in the Harbor's apartments at Hampton University. We like, let's just create a jacket that could wirelessly charge our phones via solar energy, and the rest is history, man. Yesterday was actually our 5th year anniversary, so y'all came just in time to meet with
Oh,
me.
oh, I am so excited and just so proud. That is so phenomenal. Like all of the things and just to see working together at HBCU. And Daryl, when I think about my HBCU experience, I also think about they used to say, and probably still for Hampton as well, it's like the H stood for hustle. So it's definitely about getting out there and getting to it. So for you all, well, one, I'm excited to have you here because we're going to talk about the underlying value in blending style, sustainability, and technology because most people aren't thinking this innovative as you all have been. And so, my first start is what inspired you to start thinking about fashion, tech, and sustainability as a single solution rather than just having these as separate ideas?
Yeah, most definitely. So honestly, once me and my co-founders were, seeing design project partners, just wanted to like create something that complement all of our expertise for the project. Just because it was my 5th year, it was Jordan's 6th year, and it was Stanton's 7th year at Hampton. So at that point, we were just trying to make sure we can get an A in the class so we can graduate. But we came out with so much more from it. And I remember when we came up with the idea. It was just something like we might as well like do it because we got people saying like, oh yeah, this can honestly work. Like, you have our support. So fast forward it to March of 2020. So the academic year for us for our final year was 2019, 2020. So we all know what happened March 2020, COVID-19.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we had to evacuate Hampton, and we was thinking like, yeah, this may be the end for the project, just because, I mean, we ain't trying to do nothing during this whole pandemic, and me and Stanton, we're in the whole epicenter of the pandemic, being that we're both from New York. But I remember 2 weeks into the pandemic, I'm bored out of my mind, man. I was like, I gotta do something just to, keep the creative juices flowing. So I went back to our scene design project just because I had the materials with me. And when I got the circuitry to work, it was like my eureka moment. I was like, I called up my bros, like, we gotta keep this thing going, man. Like, if this is working, like, why not stop?
Right.
And yeah, and I remember a month later, there was this one pitch competition sponsored by Forbes. It was called Icon, and there was different sections, and we applied to the future of fashion section of it. Literally, I posted a video of our project. I had the nappy hair. I was looking down bad because of the pandemic. I ain't had a haircut in weeks. So I was just like, hey man, what's the? I ain't got nothing to lose. Let's just go ahead and just drop this video. And literally 5 years ago, yesterday, that's when we got news that we won that pitch competition. And me and my team was just like, "Yo, if Forbes is telling us yes, why should we tell ourselves no?" And from then on, just trying to make sure we, take it one day at a time and achieve whatever we can, and enjoying the journey alongside it.
Yeah, I love so many things in that journey and just sharing that because there, when you think about it, somebody could easily say, okay, COVID is happening, let me chill. Or do I really want to go through this thing to, and will it work? So for you,
Mhm.
you're dealing with a trying time and you still went for it. Like, what was that mindset like at that moment?
Man, listen, like if you would have told me like in the midst of a whole pandemic and me not having no type of business expertise and you're telling me I'm
Right.
about to find a business, I would have been looking at you like, bro, I'm stuck in the house. I ain't doing nothing. I'm just chilling. I'm like,
Right.
I don't want to do anything right now. I just want to keep this mask on and stay away from people at this point.
Right.
But as we can see, we all survived COVID. Thank God for that. And I remember fast forwarded to August of 2020, I got accepted into HBCU BC. So shout out to Hadia, shout out to Chelsea, shout out to Lavanya. They were the main people that poured into me when it came to the program.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in the interview phase for that program. I didn't know what a startup was. And I remember they asked me if there's a startup that you want to invest in, what would it be? And my nervous self, I'm like trying to think of a quick answer. I'm like, Google, and they were like, Google's not a startup, DJ. I'm like, dang, I'm a, I'm accepting my faith. Like, yeah, I ain't getting accepted. Yeah, it was for a while, lasted, but when they accepted me into the program, that was like my first big break for as an entrepreneur because HBCU VC they teach you about venture capital and investing and things of that sort. And as a founder, that's honestly crucial for you to have the mindset of an investor because that will get you 5, 10, 20 steps ahead when you're like pitching to a business or investor, I should say.
Hmm. And so there are so many things also in that, because as a Black entrepreneur, I think it's important to have this representation and also to see what's possible. Like, it's okay if you mess up. And I think on their end, they're like, it's okay if he messed up. He didn't know. You obviously got into the program. So for
Mhm.
you, why do you think this is important to have this blend like you all have done with the tech, the fashion, and all the things for Black communities to understand, especially if you're in these overlooked communities?
Yeah. So even when I was at Hampton, man, like my professors say that engineers create the next best thing. So like,
Hmm.
who knows? Like Steve Jobs, like he created the iPhone. Thomas Edison created what's it called, the light bulb. Robert Johnson, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's his name. One of my fraternity brothers. He created the Super Soaker. So it's just a matter of just having that idea, and once God gives you a vision, it's like, why stop pursuing it? You know what I'm saying? Like, it may be some challenges along the way, but that doesn't mean just look at the challenges and run the other way.
Hmm. So, Daryl, if you had to say why, for someone who's outside of fashion or engineering, how would you explain the value of this wearable technology or sustainable design in simple terms? Because this is very innovative. And
Mhm.
so, how would you explain it?
Yeah, so the solar power wireless charging jacket, just think about it like this. We're offering convenience. So
Right.
when it comes to like not having your phone charged, imagine you're out and about, you may not have your charger on you, or maybe defected or misplaced. You may be looking for an outlet. Now, being from New York and now currently living in Philly, like there may be no outlet in sight in public, or there's already somebody that have access to it. So that's the issue right there. And then you may have a portable charger, but it just can't sustain a charge. Put your phone in your jacket pocket and charge it on the go. So regarding to like convenience in the phone, that's what we're solving right there. When it comes to sustainability, we're also making sure that you're not using outlets 24/7, because that can also we can also like take away the sense of using like energy like in buildings and all that, which can honestly deduct your energy usage at your house and also deduct your funds at the same time. And then with us also having fashion attached to it, we want to make sure y'all look good. We want to make sure y'all look
Right.
stylish. Stay fly out here.
Yeah. So that is so phenomenal. So if you could just share a little bit about the process of actually creating Tendaji and how did this come about to create something so great?
Yep. So going back to June 24th, 2020, that's when we won that pitch competition sponsored by Forbes. And like I mentioned before, when we asked ourselves, if Forbes is telling us yes, why should we tell ourselves no? It was like, okay, we're finding this business. Let's go ahead and like see what we can do with it. So regarding to giving it the name Tendaji, I wanted to give it an African origin name just because I wanted us to stay close to our roots. So I'm literally looking on the websites of like African names and the meanings of it. And Tendaji definitely stuck out the most just because it means make things happen in Swahili. Now, make things happen. It doesn't have to just be the product. It could be our everyday lives. Like, trying to make a play each and every day. That's the motive that we want to give people when it comes to being a part of our brand.
I love that. And so with that being said, let's talk about you wanted to give the African name and then also how sustainability plays a role into this. So for a lot of entrepreneurs, that is value and that speaks to making your values work. So what are some small but meaningful ways that you would give advice to another entrepreneurs on how they can embed this sustainability into their operations or their branding?
Yeah. So for me, I would say, I mean, I remember when my one mentor, Felicia Hatcher, she's the CEO of Black Ambition. If you guys know about Black Ambition, that's Pharrell's pitch competition. She said, if you want to get closer to God, if you want to get, become more godly, become an entrepreneur, because you got to have the highest level of faith when it comes to, your business and all. So sometimes there's going to come doubt, there's going to come fear, but, as long as you keep on working and moving forward,
Right.
something's going to happen that's going to be greater than what you originally envisioned it to be. Like if you would have told me 5 years ago that, I would have won Black Ambition, I would have been featured on the NASDAQ billboard in Times Square. I would have, as recently been selected into Mercedes-Benz Fellowship, where I'll be going to Mexico City in September and hopefully
Plus
to,
one.
hopefully
Okay.
Germany. hopefully Germany in
Love that.
April if we do well in the fellowship. I would have been like, I would have been looking at you crazy, but at the same time, I would have been in the back end trying to figure out how will I get there if people are already saying like this is what they see in me. So just remind yourself like God, if God is giving you this vision, don't run away from it. I mean, like I don't want to be no preacher and all, but I know that story of I believe it's Noah and him, Jonah or Noah. Forgive me, I ain't no pastor, but it was when he was running away from his purpose from God, and God, sent that whale and sent him to Israel to preach what he had to preach. So there's you can't run away from it, man. Like you got to either
Right.
face it or God's gonna make you face it.
That is true. That is true. And speaking of not running away and being intentional, so can you talk about the intentional design choices that you all made to reflect both that cultural pride, but also this modern innovation?
Yeah, yeah. So I would definitely give credit to my boy Stanton, man, our chief design officer. So he's always wanted to integrate tech into fashion.
Yeah.
So he always had a viewpoint of wanting to do that even prior to us even finding the business. So like him having like softwares like Clo 3D and like using it to, create like the jacket on a 3D level or a 2D level, it gave us even more validation to continue this process because if we got people who believe in the product and we got uh like a virtual piece of it that actually makes sense, like in a theoretical aspect, we can keep on going because of it.
Mm-hmm. And Daryl, what role? Because in the beginning, you also mentioned some people that have really played a pivotal role in your journey. So I want to talk more about the mentorship role that people have played in your life. Can you talk more about that and how that has been important, or just people who have been beside you throughout this journey?
Yeah, man. So on this 5 year journey, man, listen, shout out to Black women altogether, man. Like I'll let y'all know right now, like if it weren't for y'all, I would not be where I'm at today. Like first and foremost, I would not be here without God, but God has blessed me with you guys to just keep on pushing and keep on travailing. From Felicia Hatcher from Black Ambition to Omi Bell with Black Girl Ventures to, like I mentioned, Lavanya Jones with HBCU BC and Hadia from HBCU BC, to people like when I used to work a 9 to 5. They've been able to like help me out throughout my whole real world experience after I graduated from college and stuff. And it hasn't been easy, but at the same time, nothing good comes easy, and I'm a firm believer in that because like you got to put in the work for things to get better. I mean, we all know that scripture where it says faith without works is dead. So it's like you can have the mustard seed of faith, but if you ain't gonna put that first foot forward, then that faith is not gonna like really do anything for you if you ain't putting in the work to do anything.
Yes, I love that, and just that speaks to the power of community, and I think that's
Mhm.
what is really also important in entrepreneurship is like you cannot do it alone. You need community. You need people beside you. Like you said, it hasn't been easy,
Mhm.
and I love one of the things that I was drawn to about you and what you all are doing is your story. So, why is it important, do you think, especially because you've been successful and you all are doing a lot of things, the connection of your product, or even for those who are listening, their service to that deeper story or mission?
Yeah. Just know your why.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody has a why as to why they do what they do. Like for me in
Right.
particular, me being from Newburgh, New York, when I was in middle school and high school, it was called the murder capital of New York based off of murder per capita. So, I'm hearing about certain stuff, I'm seeing certain stuff, I may be in the midst of the stuff that's going on, like even though like that's not what I wanted, it's just wrong place, wrong time. But seeing when I made it to Hampton, I seen a whole different world, and it made me. And the whole time, a different world was actually based from Hampton. I don't know if you knew. Shout out to
Oh,
uh-huh.
okay. Oh,
Let me
okay.
say
Okay.
it. But like seeing that
Mm-hmm.
aspect, like I remember like going to Hampton, I'm seeing people, these freshmen driving from in Porsches and Mercedes Benz, and all I had was my own 2 feet.
Right.
And you're seeing a whole different lifestyle. And I'm like, yo, like actually, seeing is believing. Like I gotta make a name for myself out here, man. Like before, it was like I'm gonna get my degree and get going. But when
Mm-hmm.
I was at Hampton from 2015 to 2020, I came out with so much more. Like I came out with
Yeah.
lifelong friends, like whether they are from certain cities or they're now living in certain cities, like I have a connection throughout the whole world, if not the country. And being that I have a lot of people pouring into me, I want to make sure that I can pour into, kids who are just like me that were coming from rough environments, but still trying to do great things in this world. Just seeing where I came from and seeing where I'm at now, I want to make sure that these kids know that, hey, listen, you don't have to just limit yourself to what the media is showing you. Like
Right.
it's cool that you could be a rapper, it's cool you can be a singer or an athlete or anything like that, but don't just limit yourself to those things. You could be an engineer, you could be a doctor, you could be the president of the United States. I mean, we see who's the president now, so if he can get in, then you definitely can get in. But I digress.
You got it. Definitely.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's possible. And I love that you bring up, seeing that representation at Hampton, because I oftentimes think about just like the HBCU experience we talked about before we got on the conversation, like being from different places. And I even think about being from small town Georgia. Like that was a culture shock to me to see like the diversity of Black people and just at
Mhm.
different levels. It was so inspiring. So just to see you speak about that. And with that being said, so you're turning this senior project into a full-fledged business and brand. Daryl, are there any of those things that, or even those lessons that you were learning through that process that still are guiding you today?
Yeah, so honestly, like learn how to pivot. Not
Mm-hmm.
everything is gonna go your way. Like move with grace. Make sure that, every decision you make is calculated. Like sometimes like we can have like an idea of some stuff, but if we have a mentor or we have our own team saying like we don't think this is a good idea, consider it, because like there may be something that they see that you may not see. And then I mean, like for instance, like for like when I'm thinking like this is a good idea, it may not even be like my mentors, my co-founders, or anything. It could be God Himself just saying like we're gonna shift this to another direction because this is gonna lead you to something that you may not want long term. And sometimes you just gotta be flexible with it.
Yes, I love that. I love, love, love that. And so, one of the things that you talk about is also like the resources part of things. And you have a team, like you have, your co founders and things like that. And so, for some of our listeners, it might be them solo, but they might have this big innovative ideal as well. But there are limitations, whether it be resources or technology. So, what
Yeah.
advice would you give to someone who is dealing with this big idea, but the limitation of resources?
Yeah, network, man.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I got a good friend of mine, also a fellow Hampton alum. Her name is Desiree. She has this business where it's like, knowing how to network with people, knowing how to, stay connected with these people. And we all know that saying, your network is your net worth. So like always surround yourself with high achieving people, good, genuine people, because, when you're around people like that, that's just going to turn you into that person as well.
Certainly. I love that. Your network is your net worth. And so when you have this network and when you're saying, okay, I'm going to go for it, how do you test, or even for you all, how did you test or prototype an idea that is tech based or experimental without breaking the bank?
Yeah, so just like I said, like just reaching out to certain people, like applying to different
Mm-hmm.
opportunities. Like sometimes people they love the product, but they love the person more. If
Mm-hmm.
they see that that person is ambitious, resilient, not going back down from a challenge, not going to retreat when things get hard, they want to make sure that they can pour into this person because they believe that this person can get things done. That they can
Mm-hmm.
make things happen.
Yeah, I can definitely see that from you, Daryl, because let me tell you all, when Daryl got off the call, as soon as I saw him, he like, "What's up, Monique?" Like we had known each other for years, and I just love that energy. And I think, yeah, people like people. They like doing business with people they like. So I
Hmm.
love that you say that.
Yeah.
And so, Daryl, I'm pretty sure there were moments where it was, the test of faith. There were times where you faced either those personal losses or just some of that burnout. So, what in the midst of this keeps you going when you face those moments?
Yeah, man. Let me tell you, a lot of adversity's been happening these last 5 years, man. But God is still in control. Sometimes like my favorite scripture, man, is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean
Hmm.
not to thy own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. So when I was younger, it's like that was my favorite scripture, but it's like I didn't really live it like that. But then when
Mhm.
life started life, and it's like, oh, this actually makes perfect sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, from being like for this 5 year journey, I'll tell you some of the setbacks I had along the way. Like when I first moved to Philadelphia, they did the Honda boys, them Kia boys, they did me wrong with my car. Yeah,
No.
they took all
Trifling.
four of my wheels, man. You know what I'm saying? And this was 2 days before Thanksgiving. I was about to head back to New York to be with the fam, and I was just like, "This is what happened to me before my favorite holiday." But
That's not
that
right.
you know what I'm saying? And then like a consequence to that was that I didn't have my car back until 4 months after. So
Mhm.
finances were going away faster, and unfortunately, that made me lead to maxing out my credit card. So
Mhm.
even to this day, I'm still like trying to like pay that down, and
Mhm.
I had to deal with the consequences no more. When I remember when I won Black Ambition, I'm thinking like, oh yeah, we're about to make something shake now. You know what I'm saying? Then a couple months later, I get a call from my previous job that I'm getting laid off. And mind you, that 3 day span in February when I actually received the money from Black Ambition. So from February 27th to February 29th of 2024. So February 27th, I finally get the 20K from Black Ambition. That was the prize money that we won. February 28th, I get news that I'm getting laid off from my job. So
Wow.
I'm like, bro, all right, if it ain't one thing, it's another. You know what I'm saying? And then that following day, I was actually on my way to go back to my grad school alma mater, North Carolina A&T, Aggie
Mhm.
Pride. Let me just make sure I put that out there.
Yes, yes.
Um, hmm So I remember when I was going down to there, Robert F. Smith, who at the time was the richest black man in America, he was speaking at A&T, and I remember I got to meet him. He's my frat brother, so I got a kind of like better access to him than other people. And I was telling him like this journey I was on. He's like, "Oh, they done created a monster," and I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, I gotta figure out how to eat." You know what I'm saying? Like,
A
but
monster.
but he was saying like in a good way, like you're
Mhm.
gonna make a lot of things shake in the near future, and he was right. When I was unemployed, I was doing speaking engagements. I got patent pending status thanks to Microsoft's Make What's Next program. I've been featured in Essence magazine.
Mhm.
Like was actually named the 40 under 40 inductee for Hampton's 40 under 40 society. So,
I
we've been
love
doing
it.
it big out here.
Yes, yes, they definitely created a monster and just like making things shake for the future, like you said. And I think that that's the side that people don't see. And it's also like a lot of times that's what it takes, that grit, that tenacity to keep going despite like that's some crazy faith. It's
Hmm
like it's still gonna work. I'm still gonna go for it.
Yeah, man. Trust me. I was down like what was it? December of last year. I was down to my last dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I remember November of last year, I was down to my last dollar. And I remember I reached out to Omi Bell, she's the CEO of Black Girl Ventures.
Yeah.
That's the homie right there, man. I remember I reached out to her, asking her if I can get like a grant or like if she knows any like engineering
Mm-hmm.
opportunities that I can apply to. And she reached out to me, said, BGV's Next Gen's program manager role is open, right? Mind you, I was a part of their Next Gen program. I was a part of
Wow.
their inaugural cohort for the Next Gen program. So when she told me that, I was like, sign me up, man. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to interview me. You know what I'm saying? Like this is
Yeah.
give me that job. I'm gonna make this better than how I found it. And currently, while also being the CEO of Tendaji, I'm also BGB's Next Gen's programs manager. So trying to make sure I can pour into these HBCU students who have a business.
I love it. I love it. And speaking of that, can you talk more about some of the work that you are doing and mentoring and how is that working?
Oh yeah, most definitely. So they're actually pivoting to how it was when I was in it because it was a
Mm-hmm.
cohort. It was a cohort based model. So when it was a cohort based model, I was actually one of the 25 students that were selected from
Right.
the various HBCUs that applied. So I got to meet people from well, obviously Hampton and A&T just because I went to there. Morgan, Virginia Union, Tuskegee, Bowie State, like the whole nine. So that was honestly that one experience that really boosted up my confidence because that cohort we was actually sponsored by the NBA Foundation. So we got to pitch in front of the Dikembe Mutombo. We got to pitch in front of the former Cavs head coach, HBCU Buzz founder. It was a great experience. And I be telling people, man, like, listen, BGV was like, it suited up my confidence to tenfold. So I was like, yo, I am more than capable to run a business if they believe in me like this. Like, my first ever pitch in front of like what was it? Like, my first ever pitch was in front of 100 people at the BGB pitch
Wow.
competition. Mind you, I was nervous. I was a nervous wreck because I don't like publicly speaking like that. But this is something you got to do to
Mm-hmm.
make something shake. So, after that, I've been seeing like the next three cores that came through BGV Next Gen, seeing how they've been doing, and they've been loving it too. So when I announced that I was the Next Gen program manager, we got people who were alum of that program saying like, "Oh yeah, they picked the right one. Like, this DJ
Aw.
going to do a lot of good things to this program." So now with me being the program manager, we're now pivoting to a chapter based model. So now what I'm doing is that I'm helping establish different BGB Next Gen chapters at each HBCU. So we
Mm.
got North Carolina Central as the first one. We got A&T as the second one. It's up for grabs for the third one between Hampton and Morgan State. So
Mm-hmm.
I would love to get Howard next. I just gotta talk to my guy Johnny Graham. You know what I'm saying? But he'll get that email soon. But
Heard
yeah.
it.
So the next gen program now we're trying to like do three tracks. So we got the founder track, we got the operator track, and then we also got the investor track. So the founder track is similar to how it was when I was in the program, where they're teaching students about building their business up, how to pitch their business, and things of that sort. Operator track is where HBCU students that are looking for an internship, if they can't get an internship through some of the other opportunities that their HBCU may offer, like career fairs and things of that sort, they can always come to us. They can always work with a BGV alum business. It could be my business. It could be people that was a part of other programs in BGV who are needed interns. They can work with them. And then we're actually having an investor track where we're teaching students about venture capital, how to invest into like good companies, what are qualities that you need to look into a business to actually invest into them. So I love this program much more now because there's different avenues that the students can take because we're building community, we're building capital, we're building, just something more than what it was when I was in the program.
I love it. And I think that's so essential for the growth and just like providing those opportunities for people and entrepreneurs. So I love that.
hmm
And so Daryl, what kind of impact do you hope innovative businesses like Tendaji will have on future generations and how do you see this shaping the industry?
Yeah. So honestly, like with Tendaji, I believe that we're going to create a whole new industry. Like,
Mhm.
I know we have wearable tech, but I feel like with us having like a fashion tech business, we're going to take it to the whole, like a whole next level.
Mhm.
And, like just wanting to see like a shift in this world. I mean, like we see this world's been going crazy these last couple months, if not weeks.
Mhm. Mhm.
I just want to make sure that I'm on the right side of history, like making this world better in a sense. Like inspiring people to wanting to make things happen for themselves within good character. You know what I'm saying? And then just moving with just a good sense of humility and want to see everybody prosper at the same time.
Yes, I love it. So, wanted to see people prosper, and on Black to Business, we like to give tips step by step, which you've already kind of given. I want to talk now into the steps that any entrepreneur can take. So, what would you say are three things any business owner can do today to begin making their work more sustainable or even just more tech informed?
Yeah. Well, number one, just start.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not gonna have all the answers. Yeah, by
Right.
the time you get right. Like even with me doing this business for 5 years, I still don't have all the answers. But sometimes you just gotta tell yourself, I don't know what to do, but I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Third, or second, let me see. I would say build your community up. Like if you see people who are in the field that you're in, like for me, like I'm in wearable tech, but I'm also an entrepreneur, so I could be around entrepreneurs who are just go getters, And once you have like, if you're around seven go getters, you're gonna become the eighth one. So like become who you want to see. Like, but before I was an entrepreneur, I wasn't reading as much, I wasn't taking care of my health as much. But nowadays, listen, I try to go into the gym at least 4 times a week. Read a book 30 minutes every day. Eating healthy, not drinking alcohol as much as I used to. Just trying to make sure that I keep myself. I feel fulfilling like when it comes like moving
Right.
in life. So that's another one. And then three is just have that faith, man. That should be number one, but just believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in you. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like sometimes, like, listen, you could be the only one who believes in yourself. And it may suck, but if you just keep on believing in yourself, eventually somebody is going to come around, and it's going to be two people believing in you, and then 10 people believing in you, to over a million people believing in you, and it all started with you.
Yes. That makes me think about just like the mindset shifts that are needed, or just like the mindset in general to run a business. So, for you, what mindset helped you take the risk with Tendaji that others might learn from as they are pursuing these bold ideas?
Yeah. So just having an ambitious mindset,
Mm-hmm.
and not having no fear, not fearing what other people will think, because people going to talk regardless. Like, you could be in the world hungry, and people will say like, "Oh, but you ain't do this, that, and the third." It's like, bro, at this point, you already know what people are going to say or do. So like, move accordingly to those type of people, and you ain't even got
Mm-hmm.
to be around them people. You can still have a great life, even if there's people who want to see you fail. But stay away from the people as much as you can.
Definitely that. And
Hmm.
so, how can service based or non product businesses, you would say, still apply these? Because we have a lot of people who also have professional services. So, how
Hmm.
can these service based business, or those that don't have products, still apply these principles when they're thinking about sustainability and tech integration?
Yeah. So like I mentioned before, like, just keep on networking. You're always gonna get that big break if you just keep on pushing. What did Michael Jordan say? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So listen, like, I remember when I was at A&T. This was literally my final week at A&T before I graduated with my master's. And I was just going around campus. I was actually doing some work with Watch the Yard. So if you guys know Watch the Yard, it's like a HBCU Divine Nine Instagram page. I was just creating content for A&T's campus, and that same week, the last week of my time at A&T was the same week that I met J.R. Smith, and mind you, like, he was there for like 2 years, and it's funny because like I was there for 2 years too, and my first ever time seeing him is literally my last week at A&T, and you know what I'm saying. And I remember I was like, hey, JR, I'm doing this thing for Watch the Yard, and he didn't know what it was, but he was more than willing to ask answer the questions that I gave him, like, oh, what's the best HBCU homecoming, or what are you planning to do after you graduate from A&T? And he was answering them. So after we got done with the content, I introduced myself, told him about my business with Tendaji, and he gave me his number. You know what I'm saying? And
Wow.
he been wanting to support me ever since then. Just because he's seen like the ambition and the the pursuit to wanting to be better than who I was yesterday. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you just gotta put yourself out there, man, because I mean, trust me. Like, there was times where I looked dumb in front of like a lot of people. Like, for instance, I did Mr. Hampton University pageant, and I messed up in the questions terribly. But hey, man, listen, that was my first time speaking in front of people, like, in a sense like that, especially as big as like Mr. Hampton. Like, this
Mm-hmm.
is, I know, typical pageant on a college campus or the Hamptons campus. So just continue to work, continue to build yourself up, because eventually you're going to see a major difference in who you are today compared to who you were 5, 10, 15 years from ago.
That is solid advice. And when you speak, it speaks about also the knowing the alignment. So for a lot of people, they may be struggling to know if they're in line or they're operating with their purpose. So what would you say are some warning signs that a business may be operating without that purpose or alignment, and how can they kind of course correct?
Yeah, so if you're doing business based off of like wanting to be seen, you're bound to fail. Like, I remember Ice T, the rapper. He made this one quote where he said, "Other people work hard to be seen, others work hard to disappear." And I'm definitely part of the latter. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Me
because
too.
you know what I'm saying? Because once Tendaji really thrives and like becomes like a Fortune 500 company and things of that sort, I don't want to attach my name to that because it's doing well by itself. Like granted now, with it being a startup, sometimes you gotta put your name attached to it and like use your Instagram and things of that sort to promote the business. But once it can like promote itself on its own, like I can definitely live in peace, like knowing that I'm the CEO of Tendaji, but everybody else don't, because I could be chilling in Cancun, living it up, what I'm saying, and people may not even know who I am, but if they're gonna get to know me, they're gonna know me not because of what I've done, but who I am. So that's that.
Mm. And I feel like this is in the perfect transition to now let's talking about more about the work that you're doing and some of the continued support. So, what's next for you and Tendaji as you continue to innovate in this space?
Yeah, man. Listen, launching the product. We have our Kickstarter campaign that I want to get launched like sometime in the next couple weeks. Uh, just wanting to see all this work not go in vain. Like seeing that we've been working day in and day out since June 24th, 2020 to now. This journey has been amazing. But I definitely look forward to seeing what these next 5 years have to offer us, and let's just keep this thing rolling and keep making things happen.
Mm. And you kind of alluded to this earlier, but I do want to know, how do you see your role evolving as both a founder and someone who is also mentoring others in the ecosystem?
Yeah. So like with me being a founder, man, like I really do want to see success, man, and like success, it could be determined in many ways, but like regarding for me, it's just I'm just happy. I have joy in what I'm doing. Like I see people are enjoying what I'm able to provide to them and all. And regarding like mentoring students and things of that sort, I mean, like I never even thought about like being like the next gen program manager when I was in the next gen program, 3 years ago. But God has a different way of rerouting people, and I'm just like, man, listen, if this is my life, then hey, listen, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it to the fullest.
Mm. And that is real. And so, enjoying, what excites you about where fashion, tech, and sustainability are headed in the next few years?
Yeah, just seeing that they're all about to integrate with each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, seeing that since we were able to validate it even back then when we were, seniors at Hampton, slowly but surely we're seeing like tech really integrating itself into fashion. And I look forward to, showing what we have to offer just so, more fashion tech products can come out, whether it's through us or through other companies.
Mm-hmm. Love it. And so, Daryl, how can people stay connected with you, find you, and continue to support you?
Yeah, so listen, like you can follow me on Instagram _dr.jr. You can add me on LinkedIn, just put my name up. And yeah, man, listen, like I'm a happy go lucky dude, man. I like to, live life to the fullest. And hey, man, like honestly, if you look at my Instagram, you won't even really see Tendaji on there, which I want to keep it like that. But also, if you want to follow Tendaji, we got TEN dot. Let me start over. We got TEN.DAJI. That's the Instagram for Tendaji. But like if you guys follow me, that's fine too.
Love it. And Daryl, what advice would you give to someone who's in their first year of business?
It's not going to be easy. And I literally just had a talk with a person last week about this because she was a year into her business and she was feeling like a lot of this stuff was going in vain. And I was just telling her, like, stay patient. Like, because even when she was telling me, like, a lot of things wasn't going her way, like, she was literally in entrepreneurship boot camp last, like, 2 weeks ago. And it took me 4 years to get into that same boot camp. So it's like, listen, your journey is going to be different than everybody else. You just got to understand, like, your time is coming. You just got to stay patient. That's like patience is a virtue. Like, we don't know when God's going to give us that. There you go. But as you keep on moving, if you keep on pushing, it's coming. It's right there. You just got to not give up. Don't look back either because you're going to take away from like seeing what's right in front of you.
Mm, well, that's some good advice. That is great advice. Love that. And so, what does it mean to you to be Black in business?
Black in business, man. Listen, we are. the movers and shakers. We're the high rollers, the big steppers. We're the ones that make everything look good. Like everybody want to be black until it's time to be black, but we wear our blackness with pride, with swagger, with all that. You know what I'm saying? And I like if I could be black, I wouldn't want to be anything else. Like, you know what I'm saying? But to be black in business, man, like we got so many strikes against us, and yet we still making something happen. Like, listen, man, this is a testament to our resilience. Going back to our ancestors to now, man. Like we are doing, what our ancestors probably couldn't even imagine us doing years from now, because like their resilience was just living to see another day. And now here we are trying to like start multi-million-dollar businesses, the billion-dollar businesses, and all. Yo, we them. We like she's
We
her,
them.
he's him, we them.
We them. I love it. I love that. And I felt it. Daryl, thank you so much for being on the show, also pouring into the audience, doing what you do, being the innovator, being the example, and just thank you for being here.
Hey, listen, thank you for having me, Monique. Listen, if you need me again, feel free to hit me, all right?
This conversation was so fun yet so insightful. And I really appreciate the fact that it reminded us that innovation doesn't mean compromising your culture or your values. Daryl showed us that when you lead with purpose and stay open to blending style, sustainability, and technology, you're not just building a business, you're really shaping the future. And for Black entrepreneurs especially, that kind of vision is powerful. It is also proof that we can create what's never been done before and do it with meaning. So here are 3 key takeaways for me. Purpose should lead your process, not follow it. 2, your idea doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. Just start. And third, innovation is possible even with limited resources when you stay connected to community. To learn more about Daryl and everything we mentioned in today's conversation, visit blacktobusiness.com/261. And if this episode inspired you, first, leave us a review. And then secondly, pass it on to another entrepreneur who's building something bold and value driven too. Thank you so much for being a part of the Black to Business family. I can't wait to see you back here next week. But until then, keep building boldly and keep pushing the culture forward. Later.